Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we are going to be starting a new series of theme park overload. I'm a huge roller coaster fan, coaster enthusiast. I haven't been on a lot of coasters, but I have been trying to plan some vacation time for this winter and spring break and summer vacation to go to at least 4 more parks by summer of 2024. And yeah, we're gonna add some more coaster credits to my list, but today we're going to be looking at Cedar Point, coaster capital of the world, and we're going to try and figure out if we can add some more coasters to their lineup. And I have a little bit of a list here because Cedar Point's all about breaking records, and a lot of YouTubers that have as their home park have put out a little wish list of coasters that they want to see at this park. And I have the wish list here, and I am going to be going through their current lineup of coasters and what I think they're missing, but I think I'm going to also talk about other YouTubers' lists who have come up with 4 to 5 coasters that I keep seeing people want to add to this park. So we are doing Cedar Point today. They have 16 coasters currently. Here's all of them: their name, type, model, manufacturer, inversions, number, and type, capacity, max capacity, and the year they opened. You see Top Thrill 2 is down there. Hasn't opened yet, but we know it's coming, so that will be their 17th coaster, but right now they only got 16. Their newest addition is the Wild Mouse, down at the bottom, third to last. And yeah, 16 coasters. They only have one wooden coaster, so that's one of the coaster types that they need right now is they need a giant wooden coaster. We're going to be talking about where that could go in the park. And this list is just like showing what they have. Like, they don't need any more of the models on this list. There's a few that they may need. Some people want them to have a modern hypercoaster. I think Magnum's fine. I've heard it gets good reviews. And I mean, if we look at max capacity, which is capacity times the number of trains they have, so how many trains they have to fit on the coaster track at a time, you can see that Magnum has a pretty good, has higher than average max capacity. I've noticed that Aerodynamics has like the best capacity trains. I think that's just because they load their trains. They have a lot of trains and they have a lot more seating capacity on each of their trains. Um, but yeah, Intamin also has Millennium Force has a 108. I think if you have over 100 for your max capacity, then that's a good thing. But today we're mostly looking at models that they need at the park as well as record breakers. Cedar Point's all about having the biggest and best coasters of each type. So if you want to build a coaster here, unless it's a kiddie coaster like the Wild Mouse, you're going to want to find a coaster that breaks records or is a new type of model that's never been seen. So we're going to be looking at types of models to go in each area of the park. I'm going to show you a map here of Cedar Point. Google Maps, a little pixely, but there's an in-depth, we'll go in-depth through because there's 6 areas. I didn't mark the one near Gatekeeper and Corkscrew, but there is an area near Gatekeeper and Corkscrew that is a 6th area that's kind of like a tiny area of the park. We'll be looking at it as well because I think a small coaster could go there as well. But mostly there's going to be 5 areas plus the entrance, and yeah, we're going to get started with that and go at Area 1. So Area 1, I'm thinking about a Vekoma Tilt Coaster, an SNS 40 Free Spin, and a Premier Skyrocket 2. These are all going to be below 200 feet. I do believe they can make the Tilt Coaster more than 130 feet. I'm going off Circuit Breaker at Coda. That's going to be coming later, I think in 2024 or 2025. That coaster is 131 feet, so they could definitely make a coaster that's above that marker if they wanted to. I think they will if Coda's comes out before this one does, but I think the area right there, as you can see right here at the parking lot, I think this is like a perfect square. Like right here, the coaster could go over the road. They could build like a platform above the road and make like a little tunnel area, but like the path here and then this little parking square here next to Valraven, it's a big area that they could put a tilt coaster. I'll show you the dimensions in a second, but we also have these other two areas. I guess we should go in depth as well. And then I'll talk about the mega site where I think the RMC T-Rex could go. Now, I'll talk more about that one later, but that one's kind of an iffy one if they'd even do that. But Site 1, as you can see, 355 by 495. It's bigger than you think. It looks bigger than you think. And as you can see, I put in 5 possible options for this plot of land. You got a Gerstlauer Infinity, similar to Hang Time at Knott's Berry Farm. B&M Compact Flyer, similar to Superman, the Superman clones at various Six Flags parks. You could also put a GCI wooden coaster here, like Gold Striker, Roar, Grizzly, the original Wildcat. You could use any of the ones that aren't out and back, like the ones that are more like twisting around each other, like Apocalypse at Six Flags Magic Mountain. You could put it here. You could definitely put it here if you just stay in this square here. If you wanted to extend more up here, more into the where these pavilions are, then you could like put like a platform entrance that like if you wanted to make like a scary ride, you could put like a little like queue building right here, go across the road for a bridge, and then go into the actual big area for the coaster. Station could go right here with this little white boxes, and then you just got a big coaster right here. But I and obviously the B&M Surf Coaster could also fit here. I don't think that's reasonable. I think that's probably the lowest option. I actually am gonna put the Surf Coaster somewhere because I think that with the new stand-ups, with now that it's kind of like a stand-up coaster, I believe they could definitely fit it somewhere where there's water. And I think if it goes slightly over the ways in the inner of the park, that'd be kind of awesome. So I did put the Surf Coaster somewhere. I wanted to put all the coaster models in this park that people want to put in this park. So I thought the tilt coaster was the best fit for this. But the GCI Woody, if you wanted a GCI Woody, would definitely be the best fit to be placed here because it's still in the park and it's also between Millennium Force and Valraven. So it's in a kind of intermediate area of the park where you got a train station right there, so you got transportation, but you're not fricking over where the staging area is for the railroad, but you're also not fricking over Valraven. You're just in this little area that's not really used for anything right here. I checked out a more updated area, and this is just a blank spot. Like, this is a really good place for a new roller coaster, and it feels like they cleared out this area specifically for a new coaster because, I mean, it's not used as a parking lot anymore. This was a parking lot on Bing Maps, which hasn't updated this part because it still doesn't have Steel Vengeance. It still has Mean Streak in the area, so it still isn't updated because Bing Maps never updates. This was just a parking lot, but they cleared this out, so I feel like they're going to put something here. Let me know down in the comments if that's actually realistic, but this used to be a parking lot, and now it's a cleared out area, so it's like, what are they going to put here? I think that a good fit would be a Vekoma Tilt or a GCI wooden coaster. This is Site 2 near Iron Dragon Station. It's also near the train station. That's a train station, so it probably won't have a coaster here. This is why I put it as a few problems for all the coasters here. I think this is a great spot for an SNS free spin, because as you can see, it does fit here, but it is a little bit of a tight squeeze. So I feel like the SNS could go here if they wanted to, but it is very close to Millennium Force, and it is very close to the train station, so it is a kind of a 50-50 if they would do this. But if they wanted to put an SNS free spin, they could put it somewhere else, and we'll talk about that. But I think most likely they want to put the SNS free spin here just because it is a small area of the park, and it does look pretty. If they made it like a good color scheme to like Iron Dragon, and they made it like a dragon theme, it would make it more. They could make this like a themed area of the park instead of just like, oh, this is just a bland area of the park. Because when I was doing the Google Maps tour of this park, because I've never been here, I saw a lot of areas that were just kind of bland theming, and this was a really bland area of the park. If they put like a big Vekoma Tilt coaster, they put like an entrance like right here where I said where these pavilions are, and they kind of themed this whole area to be like a futuristic area plopped next to Millennium Force, And then over here, they put like another dragon themed coaster, some kind of like Japanese area, maybe like a temple coaster, like maybe like Temple Run or something like that. They could make like a little area here that's like themed, or to like Asian folklore, stuff like that. But as I said, the Skyrocket 2 as well. This is near Millennium Force. If I could go back here, you can see Millennium Force is right here. The final turn is the final brakes before going back to the station. This is right here. So Site 3 is actually split into this side and this side. Now, if they wanted to do an SNS free spin, they could put it right here instead of right here. It fits better right here, but also it is a little close to Millennium Force, so I don't know if they would want to put it right next to one of their star attractions. But this area over here is 86 by 358. I mean, that is a perfect fit for Premier Skyrocket 2. It actually fits very comfortably. They don't even have to go over here too much. They could put it right here. They don't have to go over here if they want to, but they could literally put it just right here. Like right here, and then you have like a station area right here. This area was also a bland section of the park, didn't have a lot of buildings or just a bunch of trees, but they could put a coaster right here, and they wouldn't even have to touch this area if they didn't want to. But they could also put an SNS free spin if they didn't want another launch coaster, because this is quite close to Maverick, but not that close. They could put an SNS free spin here because it would fit very soundly. Very compact coaster model could go right here. But also on the other side, if they want, like I said, you could also put something on the other side, and they could put a Skyrocket 2 here. They could put a Zamperla family launch coaster like Pony Express here from Knott's Berry Farm. They could put one here, but they also could put a Pinfari Cyclone, and they also could put another kiddie coaster as well. But I mean, the best coaster, if they could put a Premier Skyrocket on this side and then an SNS on this side, I mean, you got two coasters that could draw from Millennium Force's line, and you know, they're basically distractionary coasters. I mean, heck, if you wanted to put the SNS free spin here, the Skyrocket 2 here, and then in this area you just wanted to put like a themed area, like theme the train station, and then you could put maybe a Pinfari Cyclone, it would fit very smoothly here. But honestly, I don't feel like you could put anything here besides the SNS free spin. And even if you didn't want to do that, you could just put like a little themed area, and then over here you could put the SNS free spin. Well, this would be the Skyrocket 2, and then the SNS free spin right here. But the RMC T-Rex, the Mega Site. The Mega Site is this area right here. It's a parking lot, but with the RMC T-Rex, you just need a place for the lift hill, and it can fly over anything. It seems very high off the ground because of the model's concern. I see a lot of airtime hills on the model for the RMC T-Rex, so honestly, for the RMC T-Rex, I think it could go here. Because this, Cedar Point has this whole peninsula to work with. They also have a few water rights out here and out here as well, but for the most part, this coaster could go with the lift hill right here, a drop, turn around, and then all the way out here, turn around all the way back to the station. That could be a perfect fit for the 500-foot coaster, because this Mega Site is massive. The RMC lift hill is 776.9 feet, so 777 feet. This green line right here, if they wanted to just go, if this tilt coaster was right here, then this couldn't work. But look how big this section is. Like, this peninsula is bigger than the other section. Like, all they'd have to do is make like a pathway. They could make a tilt coaster pathway here, and then they could make like a little walkway, either a bridge over Millennium Force or a walkway over here, and then they can have this giant lift hill on this peninsula right here. Goes up, then down, goes all the way around and back to the station. It does a little like twister bowl station, twisting section right here, and then back to the station. So they could fit an RMC T-Rex here. I'm not saying they would fit an RMC T-Rex here, but they could. They really could. They could also fit a B&M Flyer. Again, it could go over the water and such, but honestly, if they put an RMC T-Rex there, that'd probably be the only way they'd be able to fit it. So that's just an optional opinion. Obviously, RMC T-Rex, I haven't heard about it since forever. They haven't talked about it in like the past 3 years, so don't even know if it's a possibility still. But if it is, this mega site and this pavilion, this peninsula right here is perfect for it. But anyway, for Area 1, I'm thinking Vekoma Tilt, Premier Skyrocket 2, and SNS Free Spin. Gives the park another spinning coaster and a coaster not on the track. This one gives them a small launch coaster, compact launch coaster to be the second launch coaster in the park, along with Maverick. And well, Thrill 2 will make it 3. And then you've got the Vekoma Tilt coaster, which they don't work with Vekoma that much, but they do have a Vekoma Junior coaster in the park. So I feel like if they work with the other two, they work with Premier and they work with SNS. So I feel like they could definitely work with Vekoma again and bring not just this coaster, but I also have another large Vekoma model that they could put in this park that is a multi-inversion machine. And again, they could definitely clear 130 feet with that tilt coaster, and I think if they do that, then it will be spectacular. But let's try and move faster along here because I think we're spending a little too much time here. So Area 2, Gersfla, I think that Area 2 is the perfect opportunity to put a lot of family coasters in between the Cedar Creek Mine Ride and Millennium Force. This is kind of another dead area of the park when it comes to roller coasters. I mean, you got Millennium Force, but really this is just a themed area of the park. But really, there is not a lot of stuff here in terms of coasters. So I'm thinking about three smaller types of coasters here. I'm thinking about a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster, a Gravity Group Shuttle Coaster, and a Zamperla Family Launch Coaster. Things to watch out for. I think the Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster, as it goes here in this area right here, this area is large and definitely bigger than the Smiler's plot of land, as you can see. It's definitely bigger than the Smiler's plot of land. So honestly, it makes the most sense to put a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster here, and they need to break 15 inversions. They could break the Smiler's world record with 14 inversions. They make it 15 plus inversions, they have the world record, and that is a big record to break. As for Site 2 is perfect for a Gravity Group shuttle coaster similar to Boardwalk Bullet. It would be another wooden coaster in the park. This park desperately needs wooden coasters, so I think if they add like a family style wooden coaster right here, it'd be perfect. This again is another dead section of the park. Near Snake River Falls, there's like no attractions here, so perfect place to put a Gravity Group shuttle coaster, and adds another wooden coaster as well as a gimmicky wooden coaster with a shuttle loop factor, the shuttle coaster factor. But you could also put a giant inverted boomerang or an inverted boomerang. You could put a boomerang by Vekoma here. Honestly, you could, but I don't know why they would, because I mean, this doesn't seem like the park that you just have a boomerang at, because the boomerang doesn't do a whole lot besides goes back and forth through the same layout. And really, unless it's the giant inverted boomerang and you make it like 200 feet tall, 100 feet tall to make it like a record breaker of its own kind or something, you're not really going to be breaking many records with it because it's such a cloned model. This right here, I thought about putting the Axis coaster here, SNS Axis coaster, another coaster model that's talked about a bunch, but I am putting it somewhere else. I was going to put it here, but I think the better coaster to put here is the Zamperla Family Launch Coaster, because this is a kind of family area of the park. There's an amphitheater plus Thunder River. Honestly, you could literally just put it like the station right here, goes up, and then it just goes around similar to Pony Express across the pathways. Just zigzags around, does a few helixes and stuff over the path. And I think that'd be a perfect fit for this area. So multi-launch family launch coaster, another launch coaster, and a family coaster. This park desperately needs more family rides, and I think with a shuttle coaster and the family launch coaster by Zamperla, they could definitely add 2 more awesome family coasters to this part of the park, and make this kind of like the family portion of the park next to the Inversion Machine and Millennium Force. So Area 2, Zamperla Family Launch Coaster, Gravity Group Shuttle Coaster, adds another wooden coaster, a big one if you look at it. Look how big that is. And then it's also a shuttle coaster, so it goes back and forth. It's pretty cool. And then you have the inversion machine that's sort of like Smiler. So you got an inversion machine to break the world record for inversions, and then you got two family coasters, each with their own gimmick. So pretty cool. So Area 3 is where Millennium Force's two Outer Bank turns are. And I think this is another dead area of the park. This is kind of like a grassy area with a couple like park areas, like picnic areas that you could definitely fit two coasters in. And honestly, I want this to be where they put the big wooden coaster. I want them to put the B&M Surf coaster on this area right here and make it like go over the water over here. It can interact with Cedar Creek Mine Ride and Millennium Force, but it just goes along this entire water area here. I think that'd be perfect for the surf coaster because it does do well when it's over water or near water. And then the Gravity Group or RMC wooden coaster. And I'm saying RMC wooden coaster, not a hybrid coaster. There's already Steel Vengeance. We don't need another hybrid coaster. We need a wooden coaster, a big wooden coaster. Outlaw Run, looking in your direction for an RMC Woody, but also the Gravity Group. If they do a Gravity Group wooden coaster like Hades 360, it would also be awesome. They need to go for the biggest wooden coaster at some point. If they go for the biggest wooden coaster, which Son of Beast was 210, if they can get 215, somewhat like Steel Vengeance, then they will have the tallest wooden coaster ever. So right here, like this site right here, perfect for an RMC wooden coaster. I know I didn't update this slide that much, but I thought about putting the Axis coaster here. I thought about putting a lot of things here. I thought about putting a Eurofighter here. I thought about a Vekoma Boomerang, a mock water coaster, but this area makes more sense for an RMC wooden coaster because it is such a big plot of land, and all it has to do is go over Millennium Force, and really this Millennium Force turnaround is low to the ground, so it just has to go over it, which isn't going to be hard to do. But this site right here doesn't really have Millennium Force to worry about that much. You put the station right here, you put the lifts right here, it turns around, goes over the water, does some water stuff, goes under the bridge here. I think it'd be cool if it goes under the bridge into an inversion, maybe inversion around the bridge, maybe a version, maybe like a 0G stall below it, or like maybe like a Heartline roll below the bridge. That'd be awesome. Or a vertical loop. I don't think they can do that on the surf coaster, but that wouldn't surprise me. And then another inversion somewhere in like a twister section around here, and then back to the station. I think that'd be perfect for this spot. They could also put a B&M compact flyer, but I have a plan for the B&M flying coaster. That was something on the list that a lot of people wanted for Cedar Point, and I have the perfect place for that coaster. So Area 3, B&M Surf Coaster, they need a stand-up coaster. They need to have all the B&M models. They have all the B&M models they could besides just a regular sit-down coaster from B&M, but they can honestly have like a family-style B&M similar to what SeaWorld's doing. They could put that somewhere else in the park. Again, there's a lot of smaller areas that I didn't cover in the park. I tried to look for the bigger areas. Maybe there's a small section they could put a B&M sit-down family-style coaster like SeaWorld's doing with, I think, Penguin Trek. But they could just... Expedition Penguin. They could put a family-style B&M sit-down coaster, but honestly, the surf coaster is the newest model, and it's apparently really good, so they need to put it. They need to try and put one in their park. And I think the best place to put it is near the river. And then just a giant wooden coaster. Either RMC does another Outlaw Run scenario with multiple inversions, or Gravity Group does a Hades 360 giant wooden coaster. Area 4 is next to Steel Vengeance and Maverick. There's a little dead section in between there, and I think there are two coaster models that they need for record. They do have another record they could break. A Gerstlauer Eurofighter going next to Maverick that has a more than 122 degree drop to beat DMD's Shellraiser's drop, and then a Bermuda Blitz coaster. So they can break the so they can have another true airtime machine with multiple inversions as well, similar to Steel Vengeance next door. For the Eurofighter, they could put a Vekoma Boomerang as well, but I don't know if they want to do that. They could if they just wanted to cheap out and put a family coaster next to Maverick, but Eurofighter is also a family coaster, sorta. And honestly, all they got to do with the Eurofighter, they don't have to make it that tall, and it fits perfectly in this site with its measurements at and you can see 250, 271, and 356. TMT Shell Racer would fit literally like right here. Like it wouldn't even take up half this plot of land. So they could literally put like a small coaster here and then another kiddie coaster here if they wanted to. But I don't think they're gonna put a Vekoma Boomerang here. I think they're gonna go for the Eurofighter if they wanted to go for that record breaking 122 plus vertical drop degree drop if they really wanted to break that record. And I think they could do it here. It's a small plot of kind of a small plot of land. It is the second smallest plot of land, but it is also like it is kind of it's still big enough to where a Eurofighter could comfortably fit here. And then Site 2, this is a big plot of land, and honestly, they don't even have to use all of this if they wanted to. They could expand out into the trees over here. They don't have to go that close to Steel Vengeance if they wanted to, but I think this is good for a Bermuda Blitz. Bermuda Blitz is this is Lech Coaster in I think not in Poland, in Belgium, I think. No, I think that's Poland's flag. I think that's Poland. I don't remember where Lech Coaster is, but this is the Bermuda Blitz by Vekoma. It looks sort of like a mini B&M Hyper. That's what it looks like, and it has 4 inversions. And honestly, they just need to put like a 4+ inversion coaster here. That's what they need to do here. If they put a 4+ Bermuda Blitz, make it like a mini hyper coaster, you can have some airtime hills. It can be an airtime machine and an inversion machine. Best of both worlds, similar to Steel Vengeance. And you got an awesome coaster to put next to Steel Vengeance to be like, hey, here's a steel coaster next to Steel Vengeance. And then you can also put a Eurofighter. You can make it look like this or like Daredevil Dive, but this is like the traditional family coaster, and here's like a more extreme version. Have multiple inversions here, but you could also just make it like a family coaster. You just want that steep drop. You want a steep drop right here. 122 degrees drop. You could go to 125 if you wanted to shatter the record, but honestly, just getting a beyond vertical drop is what you want here. The final area, this is the S&S Axis coaster. This is the new model by Vekoma, and this is the coaster that a lot of people have been hyping about. This is scheduled to go to a park. I don't remember where. I think it's in Europe, but it's scheduled. They're scheduled to make one of these. The prototype looks amazing, and I think Cedar Point is going to want to get one of these. They're gonna probably want to wait until the prototype comes out, but as soon as that prototype starts getting fans, similar to the Surf Coaster and the Tilt Coaster, they're gonna want to buy a record breaker one of these. Make it tall, make it have more inversions than the prototype does. I think the prototype only has 1 inversion. They want more than 1, and then make it bigger. Bigger, more inversions, taller, Cedar Point's whole game. Get the record breaker S&S Axis coaster, and it fits perfectly here. The S&S Axis coaster fits comfortably here. They don't even have to go into this area over here if they don't want to. They can just do this box right here, have the lift hill right here, have the lift hill go this way, and then go down, and then it can go around this whole area. They don't even have to touch the carousel if they don't want to. But that'll put a nice big coaster next to Valraven and Corkscrews Midway. So yeah, S&S Axis coaster prototype, make a bigger, longer, more inversion, more wild type of this with this, or wild type of this, and you'll be perfect. It'll be a perfect model. Finally, the entrance coaster. The entrance is where I'm putting the B&M Flying Coaster. The entrance is a big plot of land. All these buildings right here are just staging. Like, the coaster could go over these buildings no problem. And I think it could literally interact with Gatekeeper and could interact with this whole area right here. You could put a pretzel loop right here, going over the entrance, a big swooping dive over the park guests as they come in. I know Gatekeeper's kind of like that. It already interacts with the entrance, but it isn't it is just going over the turnstiles. It doesn't go over like the true entrance. I'm thinking like Fury 325, how it goes underneath the entrance bridge to the park. It could do that. Could be very similar to that. And of course, I think just like as you can see right here, this plot is massive. I also thought about the RMC T-Rex. RMC T-Rex lift hill could literally fit right here and then could go around. But I found that the RMC T-Rex needs a lot more space than a B&M Flyer does. That's why I thought it would be better with the Mega Site. But the B&M Flying Coaster fits perfectly. The lift hill could be literally right here. The entrance could be right here next to Blue Streak's entrance. And then it could just go up, do a pretzel loop right here, showing a massive pretzel loop. And then they could do some inversions while also swooping over this area right here. Could go over here a little bit. Could do another inversion over the park sign right here, and then goes right back to the station after doing a little bit more over here, just peeking up around these buildings right here before going back to the station. I think that's a fun layout that they could do. They could also put a premier launch box similar to Flight of Fear Rock and Roller Coaster, but I think they want to go with the B&M Flying Coaster because this park desperately needs a B&M Flyer. It's the only major B&M model that's been around for decades now that Cedar Point is missing, and they are going to go all out for this. I expect this to be bigger than Tatsu. I expect this to be bigger than Tatsu, bigger than Manta. Tatsu's 170 feet. I say 180 feet plus 5 inversioners or more. You could do a pretzel loop, a 0G roll. You could do another 0G roll over the midway. I'm trying to think of what inversions Manta has. I know Tatsu has a dive loop, so you could maybe do a dive loop you could do a dive loop over here next to Gatekeeper. Then you could do a 0G stall over here. I don't know if you can do those on flying coasters, but if you can do a 0G roll, maybe you could do a stall. If you could do a stall over the entrance, not over the entrance here, because that's where Gatekeeper is, but maybe like over here, like it dives underneath, does a dive loop underneath Gatekeeper, goes across, does like a stall right here, and then goes behind the buildings into like a twister section, and then a final corkscrew into the final brake run. That'd be pretty cool. Honestly, the layout could be whatever they want. I think they just need a flying coaster, and this is like the best place to put it, because they're going to make, we'll get into that later, they're going to need to put something at the entrance, because right now the entrance is kind of bland still. I mean, it's got Gatekeeper, but that's been old news for a while. It still looks pretty cool. Gatekeeper looks incredibly cool, but it is kind of bland here at the entrance. If they wanted to put like a B&M Flyer and they could make it like on a 180-foot monster, they could put a lot of inversions here. They could build like a big pavilion here if they wanted to, for like a net structure to make sure that nothing falls off the ride, and then a couple inversions over the midway here, twister section, final corkscrew, final brakes. Big flying coaster checked off the list. So that's done. I think we checked off a lot of the coasters on the list, but we're going to go through a final here in a second. So I'm using Airtime Thrills. He's a popular coaster enthusiast on YouTube. He came up with a seven layer, 7 things you need in a park in order for you to have a complete lineup. I added the other category just in case there's a coaster that doesn't fit any of these things. Blue Streak's a wooden coaster. Cedar Creek is an other. Doesn't really do any of the other things, but standout, Airtime Wood, multi-looper, not on the track, spinner and launch. Mine Train doesn't do any of those things. I put it in other. Corkscrew's a multi-looper. Gatekeeper is a multi-looper and is not on the track. It's a wing coaster. Gemini, another other coaster, doesn't do any of the other things. Iron Dragon's not on the track. Magnum is an airtime machine. Maverick is a launched intimate multi-looper. Millennium Force is a standout coaster at the park. Raptor is a multi-looper not on the track. Rugerloo's another multi-looper. Steel Vengeance is a hybrid airtime standout multi-looper, kind of a triple threat there. Valraven is a multi-looper. Wild Mouse is a spinning coaster, adds that spinning coaster the park desperately needed. And then Wilderness Run and Woodstock Express are 2 Our the other two other coasters. They're just family and kiddie coasters for the young ones, stepping stone coasters. And then Top Thrill 2 we'll talk about in a second, but it's going to just be the multi-launch coaster that this park also needs to step with Maverick. Adding these new additions, Top Thrill Dragster, Top Thrill 2 is a multi-launch coaster, adds another launch coaster. As you can see, we add 4 new launch coasters and 2 new spinners. It's really cool there that we're doing all this. Vekoma Tilt Coaster is a multi-looper. SNS Free Spin is a spinner. Premier Skyrocket is a launch coaster. Gerstlauer Infinity is an inversion machine, multi-looper. Gravity Group Shuttle Coaster is an other. Doesn't really do a lot of things, but you know, it is a family coaster. But it is also a wooden coaster, so I guess it does do that. It does check off that box. So it is another wooden coaster. As you can see before, we only had one wooden coaster here, and a spinner and a launch. As you can see now, we got 3 woodies, 3 spinners, 5 launches. Zamperla Family Launch, case in point, multi-launch family coaster. Gravity Group RMC wooden coaster. If you're gonna do an RMC Woody, you could do a +1 to that multi-looper category because Outlaw Run has 2 inversions, I think. So they could add 14. As you can see, you're +1 if you add the RMC Woody instead of the Gravity Group. But B&M Surf Coaster, multi-launch, 2 inversions, making it a multi-looper and then a multi-launch here. Eurofighter, you want to go for that record 22-degree drop, and then Gerstlauer Eurofighters usually have 3 inversions, so you got a multi-looper. SNX Axis Coaster, Bermuda Blitz, Airtime Machine, and then a multi-looper. So you got the Airtime Machine and the inversion machine, the double trouble. SNS Axis Coaster, that's the last spinner coaster, spinning seats, and then you have the B&M Flyer with 5 inversions and not on the track. So you got a not on the track and another multi-looper. So they have 16 coasters currently. After all these additions, they have 29, and there's a bunch of little small plots of land you could put like a Vekoma Boomerang or like a small kiddie coaster if you wanted to, and get that up to 30 if you really wanted to be even about it. But that's going to do it for... Oh, I also wanted to cover this. Record breakers. You can make the tilt coaster 150 feet with 5 inversions. Breaking circuit breakers record for the prototype. RMC T-Rex. Falcon's Flight is 525 feet tall. That'll be the coaster in the Saudi Arabian theme park for Six Flags. Make the RMC T-Rex 550 feet tall with 5 inversions. You beat Steel Vengeance's inversion record for RMC. And Falcon's Flight's not going to have any inversions, so just beat its height limit, you'll be good. Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster, 110 feet tall to break the height limit of the Infinity Coasters. 15 inversions to break the world record held by the Smiler with 14 with 2 chain lifts. Zamperla Family Launch Coaster, 8 launches. You could go for the record of most launches on a single coaster, with Hagrid's having 7 as the most launches on a single coaster. Have 8 on the Family Launch Coaster, and you break that record for most launches in a multi-launch coaster. Then you have a Gravity Group Wooden Coaster. You could do an RMC Woody with 4 plus inversions you could do 4 inversions on the RMC Woody to beat Outlaw Run for most inversions on a wooden coaster with 4. But you could also just do the Gravity Group Wooden Coaster if you don't want to do that. And you could go for the tallest wooden coaster with Son of Beasts is 110 feet, 115 or more, and you break that record. B&M Surf Coaster, 2 inversions, 2 launches. Pipeline only has 1 inversion and 1 launch, making 125 feet and break the prototype's record for the biggest and best surf coaster. Gerstlauer Eurofighter, just beat TMT Shell Raider, making it taller. You can have the same number of inversions, but 125 plus degree drop, and you break the record. Bermuda Blitz, 150 plus feet. If you're just trying to break Lek Coaster only has 3 inversions. You do 4 inversions and you beat it. SNS Axis Coaster, 100 feet plus. The prototype's only 96, so over 100 feet and you beat it. Prototype has 3 inversions. You just put 4 on there and you'll be good. B&M Flyer, 185 feet. You can do 180 plus feet. 5 inversions. You beat Tatsu and you have the biggest flying coaster. Biggest B&M Flyer. That's your record breakers. That's going to do it for this video. I think we did a lot here. We basically broke 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 records, 10 world records. We'll be breaking 10 records, record-breaking coasters, along with 2 other coasters plus Top Thrill 2, which I think will be the tallest multi-launch coaster. So that'll be 11 records that Cedar Point will hold. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, write in the comments if you think any of this is possible. I think some of these may be possible in the future, especially when that tilt coaster comes out and that S&S Axis coaster comes out, because Cedar Point's going to be looking at trying to improve their entrance as well. So maybe they're like, we need these two new technologically advanced roller coaster models, as well as, we also need a flying coaster. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. Toodaloo.